Alright, I tried to record a video dream journal earlier today. It didn't work, so I'm gonna try this again. Okay, the basic gist of the journal was dream scenes. Okay, dreams are in scenes when I recall them. So first scene was I had a bunch of I had like a box of stuff that was like a 3 foot by 3 foot U-Haul box, and then I had maybe a backpack and a suitcase and basically like the same kind of stuff I had when I got off the Greyhound bus in 1993 in 2004 when I came out here to live with my brother. I had books. I had lots and lots and lots of books all in a bag. I mean, not in a bag, but in a canvas, like a canvas bag type thing. What else? And the gist of that scene was that I missed, I was getting my stuff, I was coming out, and the bus took off without me. And it's like it was a school bus or something. It's very strange. So I remember having this feeling of dismay, like, oh, now what do I do? And it was also almost like I was a little kid too, like an 8th grader or something. And then somebody with a monster truck, a gray monster truck with huge tires, a white guy with a beard, and I think he had a woman with him. My feeling was like it was a relative of mine or the parents of a friend of mine. I had that kind of like knowledge that, they were doing for me because they knew me, but we didn't know each other that well. So anyway, yeah, they took me to where I needed to go or started. Like the scene as I was leaving, there was I could see the exit, driving away. Okay, so the next scene it's the desert. And in the desert, it's almost like a junkyard in the desert. Like when I was rolling through Wyoming in real life, in actual reality, on the bus, I would see, well, even in my car, I would see these like petroleum or some kind of chemical processing plants way off to the side. That's what it kind of felt like. It kind of felt like barren desert off to the side of a road with the sun setting in the background. So I guess that would make it western. Yeah, it would be in the western portion of my mind, I guess. And next scene is it's like a year or two later, and I've been here at this kind of hippie commune where their whole goal is to live with the earth and green the desert again and make it produce, because at this point the desert doesn't have any soil. There's like wrecked cars all over the place, like I said, like a junkyard in the desert. And I remember recalling 3 or 4 years later, next scene, we're jumping forward, and it's almost like a time lapse in my mind, but instead of time lapsing, it's like I was jumping to keyframes in the time lapse. If anybody does video production, they'll know what I'm talking about. So the next one was like 5 to 10 years later, and at this point we had still sand everywhere, but there was some green grass starting to grow and starting to take root, and there were definitely some really pretty flowers. And there was this one flower that was like a bowl. It was almost the size and dimensions of a crystal singing bowl. It's like this. It was beautiful. And I remember I leaned down to smell it, make sure there was no bugs in it, and there was hardly any smell. I didn't smell anything. Of course, that could be a reflection of the fact that I had and still kind of have a cold, and was stuffed up, and kind of what some people would refer to as symptoms of allergy. But anyway, so I was at that awareness, And then there was a girl there. You know, it was like I had lived there and I had helped make that place and I had done what I needed to do there. And then there was a girl that kind of looked at me, and she took the form of my cousin Melanie. And it was as if it was a spirit that represented my conscience, because she kind of gave me these looks and didn't even talk, and was in a very gentle face, but stoic and kind of angelic, you might say. And she would say, with her look, basically, you know, what are you still doing here? It's, you know, you're ready to move on. It's time for the next phase. Quit stalling. That's essentially what she was saying. And the end of that scene was I realized she was right, and it was time to move on to the next phase. Okay, so cut to the next scene. The next scene is way into the future, maybe 20, 50 years into the future, but I'm still super young. And at this point, what used to be, you know, a small kind of mud hut, which is good. I mean, cob houses are wonderful. Shack had started to turn back into what things had been before. In a good way, it's like they were using brick buildings, and I described this quickly. I said this once, so it's kind of tiring to say it again. Oh, there was a swimming pool, and there was a building right here, right next to the swimming pool, right next to it. I mean, like, I could get out of the swimming pool, walk 10 feet, now I'm in that other building, and there was no doors. It was like just a big open area. And the building to the east of the swimming pool that I was referring to, it is actually like a big lots, or a St. Vincent de Paul kind of place, where there's a bunch of antique stuff, and there's a bunch of like clearance items kind of all together in one place. And I remember I was looking for a bow and arrow, either a real bow and arrow or a Nerf bow and arrow, or some kind of bow and arrow, because there were toys and stuff there. And I didn't end up finding anything, but I did end up finding a slingshot that had a football. And so I slingshotted the football, and these guys were there, and they looked like guys that usually would, you know, they'd be my age, but they'd be like, you know, sports jocks and this kind of stuff, and they wouldn't understand my intelligence and that kind of deal. But I almost had this feeling like these guys were psychically saying to me, "Nah, dude, just have fun. It's all good, man. Hang 10, bro." Like Paul Walker. It was like Paul Walker and the dude from Nickelback. And we were all just having a good time. That's kind of what it was like. I'm not saying it was Paul Walker, but that's the kind of attitude that I was getting. And he was like, you know, the vibe he was sending me was, you think you're the only one, but you're not the only one, man. We're all like you. All of us here have these powers and these special abilities, and we understand what you're going through. And right now, we're just experiencing life, you know. Yeah, we have visions, and yeah, we talk to spirits, and yeah, animals give us messages, and yeah, spirits harass us at night, and we're used to all that. But right now, we're just experiencing this fun and being in the moment, and enjoying this energy. And so you don't have to feel like we're, you know, making fun of you on the inside or anything like that. You're one of us, dude. And I remember it was such a welcoming feeling. And that may be tied into some of the stuff I experienced when I posted my waking nightmare that was happening to me last night, where this black demon was trying to cut. It was a small demon, like a monkey or something, but it was a demon. It was black, and it was coming from my left side. And when I was rolled over on my right side in bed, trying to go to sleep with my eyes closed, it was cutting a triangle shape into my back. And then I remember I told it to go away, and I told it to go away again, and then the word banish, I banish you, started to come into my mind, and I was like, whoa, no, I'm not trying to say that. I don't want to negatively influence that energy's energy and have that bounce back on me. I just want to put up a wall so that energy doesn't keep trying to infiltrate. And really, if all be said, I don't know that even though that energy was creepy and creeped me out, that it was really bad. Maybe that's just its personality, and it was trying to give me a message from God. I mean, I don't know. And I'm aware that I don't know of that, and that's one of the things that confuses and is kind of a struggle that I deal with. Anyway, let's jump back to the dreams. Well, it was like these guys were telling me, yeah, dude, you're cool here. You don't even have to worry about people making fun of you or people not understanding or you feeling like you're alone in a group of people. And I was like, I feel so relaxed. And then I remember I was in the pool, and it was like, or maybe this was after. I can't remember if playing football with these guys was after I got out of the pool or before I got in the pool. But the angelic, I mean the smooth-faced character that was represented by my cousin Melanie when she was like 14 or 17 or something. Again, I'm just gonna call her Melanie. Melanie looked at me again with kind of a look of, you don't need to try to show off and impress people. What are you doing? And I remember I was in the pool, and I had this crystal bowl, this crystal punch bowl, it had like really filigree and stuff all decorated into it, and it was see-through, and it was like clear, and but it had no punch in it or anything. I'm not sure why I took it into the pool, but I took it in the pool, and then when I got my head out of the swimming pool, like I don't think I climbed out of the swimming pool, but I think I stood up in the pool. I lifted the crystal bowl and I looked into it, and it was like, the water would have been clear or greenish, because it was a light green color is what the water was. Clear, see-through, light green, like chlorinated. And I looked into the bowl, but I couldn't. I mean, it was murky in the sense that there were these pieces floating around. And what it reminded me of is before I went to sleep, I had this this jar of nut butter, and I put some water and some peppermint oil in it, for various reasons to try to make a drink. And the nut butter was almost gone, so it was just like the leavings and the scrapings that were around the side and on the bottom. So I scraped it and I stirred it a little bit, and stuff started to float around, and it was cloudy and murky. And in my dream, it resembled what I had seen before I went to sleep. And there's another thing that I feel that I somehow has a connection in my dream. I looked into the bowl, and the vision was unclear. I couldn't see a reflection of myself, and I couldn't see through to the bottom of the bowl. It was very murky. And maybe there's a metaphor there. But for now, I'm going to move on. And then the end of the dream was that I went into the building, the white building to the east. There was the clearance aisle, and where some people I think had like the baggage and the boxes and stuff, and probably the box that I started off in the beginning of the dream where I missed the bus, that I got a ride and somebody helped me haul that to the desert. Maybe that represents like my spiritual emotional baggage or something, and it was brought with me, and other people brought theirs with them also. And this place was like a warehouse or a trading house where different people's baggages were actually repurposed into usefulness for other people. And I guess if I was to analyze that right now, I would say that's your experiences, no matter how painful and harmful they were to you, or that you might feel that they were detrimental to you in your life can be very beneficial to others if you share those experiences. Wow. What a metaphor. And the last part I don't understand. I mean, it just kind of seemed off. My younger brother was in there and he was doing a dance. We had just walked in together and it was almost like everybody else in the world was gone or sleeping or something. And the lights were on, the walls were all painted white. In this giant Walmart-sized warehouse / bazaar / St. Vincent de Paul / antique store / clearance, giant Walmart clearance aisle type place. And we walked in there, and on the north wall, right as you get in the door, there was mirrors all along, and it wasn't like a dressing mirror, it was more like dance studio mirror. So they were all along the front, and at least 20 foot of mirror. And there was shelving behind us, big metal and wood shelves on which to stock stuff. Kind of like at these day-old grocery places where they have food that's past expiry date, but it's not totally bad, so they still sell it to people who will buy it like at a discount. It's kind of like a place like that too, which again I think would qualify as a bazaar, even though I'm not exactly sure what the word means. It's a word that keeps popping in my head. B-A-Z-A-A-R. So back to the place. I'm just going to call it the bazaar. So we walked into the bazaar, and there was nobody there. And my brother heard some music, or he turned the music on, because I remember he motion signaled to me kind of, and he was like, "Hey man," like this, and then he started dancing and like doing some hip hop dance. And I was like, oh, okay, well, he's doing hip-hop dancing. I'll do some hip-hop dancing, too. And he was in the front, and so I was about 2 feet behind him. And I remember I was trying to think of what my choreography should be, trying to remember my moves from hip-hop dance class, which I took this year. And I remember it wasn't a Michael Jackson song, but my moves were Michael Jackson-type moves. Next thing I know, instead of me there doing Michael Jackson, it's Michael Jackson there doing Michael Jackson, but it's like a really skinny Michael Jackson. He didn't look dead or anything. It was like the Michael Jackson from 1984, not in Thriller, but where he had kind of from Off the Wall, and then take off that suit jacket and put on like a blue shirt. I seen him with like the shirt that I saw him in like a poster or something. I think he was in a poster with E.T. and he was wearing this shirt. Might have been something like that. You know what's weird is I think Michael Jackson has a tie to Freddy Krueger and E.T., but I can't remember what his tie to Freddy Krueger is. It may just be that they both wore Freddy Krueger type sweaters. Anyway, we take that, go back to the dream. So it was Michael Jackson there, and he was doing his own dance. And but he seemed like he was doing really good, but it was almost like he was trying to work out a new choreography, and he was in his space and he was trying to get it right. And it was like I was there observing in spirit. And the last thing I remember was in front of the mirrors, all of a sudden now you have a table that's high enough, and there's a girl there, and she's like a cashier, but she's like one of these teenage cashiers that really doesn't like the job, doesn't have enthusiasm for it. Maybe she's smart, but she's cynical. So she has that kind of cynical attitude, kind of like goths in the old days before goth became a popular thing. Yeah, kind of had that attitude. And I remember whoever was up there was trying to haggle with her about, I couldn't hear what was being said, but it was like I could see it. And kind of what she was saying was, and why do you think I should give you that price? She was really making it difficult for the person who was trying to haggle, making a challenge. Boom, then I'm out of the dream. So there's dream record. This is the 5th of, no, this is May 23rd, 2014. Namaste, love, light, and blessings.